everybody. Welcome to the DC Fandom. Dome. It's your boy, Craig. No, Sam. As many of you know, this past year, I embarked on an adventure, like a 15-month odyssey of cataloging and commentating and podcasting on all 3 original seasons of SpongeBob SquarePants and the film. We've been done with that for about a month. It was very fun. Thank you to all those of you that listened along. There is one project and part of that experiment, podcast, whatever, that I never got to, which was ranking every SpongeBob SquarePants episode by level of my favoritedness. I thought, I need to try it. But I must say, it's pretty fricked up making me that you guys forced me to rank all of the SpongeBob SquarePants episodes, because they're basically all incredible, if not perfect. But I gave it my best shot. Maybe at the end I'll run through if you're good today, class. If you're extra good, maybe, just maybe, I'll run through every single episode and rank them. I guess I didn't put the movie in there. I don't know. Maybe I'll add that. I don't know. But for the purposes of this video, I just thought that I would go through subjectively my objective best 10 episodes of SpongeBob SquarePants. To reiterate, this is just my subjective opinion. That is the correct one. And if you disagree, that's okay, because lots of people are wrong about lots of stuff. But so anyway, I'm gonna go through 10 to 1. Hey, by the way, those of you out there, I know that some of you are watching, maybe that your profession is you write listicles for BuzzFeed and stuff like that. Why do you write listicles starting at number 1? I'm not gonna read the rest of the article if you just give me... Anyway, should I do my normal voice, or should I do the Watch Mojo voice, or should I do boring YouTube listicle voice? I'll let you vote. Vote in the... Hey chat, vote right now. Which one is it? Boring listicle voice it is. Number 10. One Krab's trash. Number 11 on this list was Squidville. And I'm surprised that Squidville didn't make it into my top 10, because it is one of my favorite episodes, but it just came down to like, One Krab's trash, Squidville. Which one do I think is better? It's so hard because they're both perfect episodes. And at the end of the day, I'm sure that depending on the day, I would rank them differently. But for this ranking, I decided One Krab's trash. It's just a little bit, edges out Squidville just a little bit for me. What can I say? It's just a classic SpongeBob episode. A lot of my Mr. Krabs episodes, I actually rank kind of lower, because I don't know if the writers always knew what to do with him. But here, they like play up the ridiculousness of his character so well. So One Krab's trash, Smitty, Werben, Jaegerman, Jetson, so many quotable lines, so ridiculous, like all the different places, and it never fails to make me laugh. When Mr. Krabs postulates about what the army of the undead are going to do to him, and he just gives the most disgusting, rancid, like, depiction, and Smitty, Werben, Jaegerman, Jetson just responds,
"That's disgusting. We just want the hat back."
It just makes me laugh so hard every time. Okay, number 9, Shanghaied. Shanghaied is so good, and this was an episode that I remembered funny scenes from, but when I revisited it for the podcast, I was like, holy crap. I did not realize how good this episode was. You get, a really fun appearance from the Flying Dutchman, but you also get like a really good expose of SpongeBob, Patrick, Squidward, who those characters are, how they play off of each other. They create different situations to see the chemistry of different combinations. Like they pretty much remove Squidward from like the episode for a significant portion of time. You're good. They're dorks, yes, but they're my dorks. All like so many good scenes, but the one that made me cry laughing every time I saw it as a kid and still makes me laugh so hard is...
The door is locked, and the only way out is through the perfume department.
Let's do it.
It's just genius. So shout out to Carl Greenblatt and Aaron Springer, who of course wrote some of the best episodes of SpongeBob ever, including this one.
I always hate going in there.
Number 9, Sailor Mouth. I feel like this was one where people of my generation, of my kind of age range, that was, hilarious when you were a kid, but one that when you thought back on in high school, and as you thought back on like the funniest episodes, you were like, did I remember that? Do you guys remember there was an episode where they learned how to swear?
Krabs is,
Do you kiss your mother with that mouth?
well, sometimes, but not recently.
Like, this is probably the edgiest episode of the first 3 seasons, but I feel like it still keeps like the heart and innocence of SpongeBob. It's not like mean-spirited or feels like inappropriate necessarily. The dolphin noise is like so funny. The concept of like there being a specific number of swear words. Everybody that I've talked to shares like, yep, I tried when I was a kid and I saw this episode to think like, okay, bleep, 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 like trying to count, like, can I guess what all the swear words are? And just like the mystery of when you're a kid, like there's this like adult vernacular and ethical code about what the swear words are, when you can use them, like who gets to use them, and so on and so forth. So it's just really freaking funny. Number 7, chocolate with nuts. This episode is nuts. Again, one of the most quotable like scenes, lines. I mean, it just like the word chocolate and the way that it's yelled is so good. I remember when they first invented chocolate. It's like so classic. But then there's so many like hidden gems that maybe you don't remember in the episode that when you revisit it, you're like gut laughing the entire time.
Let's get naked. I love you. Not the way I use them.
I guess they're probably mostly all Patrick, but it's so freaking funny. Very, very rewatchable. Number 6, Help Wanted. The pilot episode. I just have a soft spot. I think this is the one episode that nostalgia really like bumped it up, because as I was looking at my top 10, there's some that aren't in here that I'm like really surprised by, such as jellyfishing, such as bubble stands, such as ripped pants, that I'm like, how are those not in there? But when I think about it, I'm like, no, that's probably fair. Like if you're trying to rank the episodes against each other, like, that, like, can I say that bubble stand is better than Sailor Mouth? Probably not, whatever. But this one though, I just am such a sucker for like how good the pilot is as an episode in its own right, but then how well it sets up the entire show. Like a lot of shows, animation or otherwise, the pilot episode, you're like, this feels like a different show. Like I don't know what I'm watching. I can kind of see how this evolves into what I eventually like knew of the show. Not the case for SpongeBob. Right off the bat, they immediately know what it is. They know who Patrick is, who Squidward is, who Mr. Krabs is, who SpongeBob is. It just like so perfectly expresses who SpongeBob is and what the spirit of the show is. I, on the podcast, got to interview Jay Lender, one of the original writers of the show, and he shared a story about the first time that he saw the pilot before it aired on Nickelodeon and how he did a literal cartoon double take to see what it was. Go listen to that on the podcast. It was a fantastic conversation getting to hear about that. It's a magical episode. Number 5, Krusty Krab training video. This episode, this snuck up on me, and I'm surprised that an episode that snuck up on me got this high on my list. Like, I knew that there would be episodes that I was like, oh wow, I wasn't expecting that to be that good, and it gets A tier or even like bottom of the S tier. But my number 5, I knew that this episode was funny, but I forgot how funny it was. And I think it's because as a kid, it's so dry, and honestly, the humor has probably like aged like a fine wine, because at least for me, I am much more accustomed, used to, and appreciate dry humor. They nail good, bad editing. Do you know what I mean by that? Like editing something to make it look poorly edited, but it was done well. This is surprisingly hard to do, hard to pull off, because you can't accidentally do this. The episode is just so funny. The awkward cuts, the random like ways that it's shot like a documentary or whatever, the absolutely abrupt ending. So Very, very good.
Sounds like a lot of hoopla to make over a little Krabby Patty, right? Wrong!
Number 4, SB129. This episode is so weird. And I love, especially in season 1, how absolutely insane this show gets. Like very early on in the show, SpongeBob and Patrick literally fly to the moon and come back. That obviously doesn't happen in this one, but like Squidward, he travels to the future by means of getting stuck in a freezer. And at the outset of the episode, you would not think that that's kind of what the premise of the episode is going to be, but they get you there and they just let it get weirder and weirder. A lot of people have argued that this is like the most kind of spooky or existential episode of SpongeBob SquarePants. I think that that's totally valid. This is another great example of what I was talking about earlier, where I love episodes that aren't SpongeBob centric for some reason. I think specifically some of the funniest episodes, for whatever reason, are centered around Squidward, with Squidville, with this one. Every set piece, if you can call it that, is so good, so fleshed out, so interesting, but you don't get to stay there for that long. It's just like so good, and it's really funny all the way throughout.
Future! Thanks.
Number 3, pizza delivery. I think that this is a perfect SpongeBob episode. I say that, like, my rankings all are like great, amazing, perfect, and then like, no, seriously, super perfect. Like, I don't know if there's anything that you could do or change to this episode to make it any better. It's like just the perfect display of the relationship between SpongeBob and Squidward. It's super funny. There's super like memorable, quotable lines.
It's a rock!
You get like such like heartwarming scenes where this is one of the first times that we kind of see like Squidward hates SpongeBob, but he will not let anybody else push SpongeBob around or be mean to him. We get our first, what my wife Morgan likes to call sponge moments, because there's a scene at the end of this episode where SpongeBob is so sad and so depressed that Squidward, though he's hated him the entire day, has that moment where he asks him, trying to console, trying to figure out where he's at.
Sponge.
And you can hear in his voice like a genuine caring concern for SpongeBob that turns Squidward, makes it like completes his character arc where now he's gonna go stick up for SpongeBob and save the day. But on top of that, it's just like such a hilarious episode. Everywhere that it goes, this crazy road trip movie that it basically is. Krusty Krab pizza is the pizza for us. Number 2, Christmas Who, aka the SpongeBob Christmas special, or this episode has like 3 different titles, but Christmas Who. This is an episode that I knew that I liked, that I knew that I had nostalgia for, but again, I was surprised by how much it snuck up on me. It almost feels like cheating to have like a holiday specific one be ranked this high, but I think that Christmas genuinely fits so well with the spirit of SpongeBob. Like, there's other good holiday episodes of different shows. I remember when I was a kid, like the Christmas episode of The Fairly Odd Parents being like really epic and fun or whatever, but I don't feel on a spiritual level like that is the heart of the show, is like Matched by This Holiday. But Christmas is perfectly SpongeBob, and it makes sense why SpongeBob would just be starry-eyed and like, this is absolutely incredible, like this is the perfect holiday or whatever. The music is really delightful. It has such heart. Again, we get another sponge moment at the end of the episode, and it's just like so sweet. And that song that we get halfway through the episode is absolutely epic.
SpongeBob. 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 Don't do that again.
Number 1. To the surprise of probably nobody, my absolute favorite episode of SpongeBob SquarePants, what I think is without a doubt the best episode, is Band Geeks. This episode has really like risen to stardom in recent years. Like I feel like you see the iconography from it a lot in Nickelodeon marketing and just in memes and stuff like that. But it's for good reason. It's because it sticks out in a lot of people's minds because the whole episode is so hilarious. Like this rivals, you know, I think that you could pick your favorite comedy, pick your favorite episode of it. Like, let's say The Office. I think my favorite episode of that is Stress Relief Part 1, probably. I think that this rivals it for how funny it is. And not just like, well, for SpongeBob, it's funny. Or even like, well, yeah, like you really love SpongeBob. Of course, you think that it's like really, really good. Genuinely, the way that it's shot, the way that it's paced is like masterclass comedy writing. But then, of course, the thing that sticks with all of us is that turn that happens at the end, where at the end of the episode, especially when you're a kid, you're like, what the frick is happening? Where is this song coming from? Like, you need to like listen to the story about how they like wrote that ending, how it kind of came out of left field at the 9th hour. And I promise I'm not just trying to plug my podcast. It's over. I don't really care if you listen to it. But if you do go back and listen to that episode where we covered Band Geeks, you can hear that whole story. Super interesting and super awesome. But it's so great because it's so crazy, right? I think that this is the reason that you get Goofy Goober Rock at the end of the SpongeBob movie is because it works so well that they're like, we just have to do it again. But and then it's also so like weird and funny in such a specific SpongeBob way. But I think that what makes it the most is the heart behind it. Because I've shared a couple times now that Squidward often has these sponge moments, but in this episode, the roles are reversed where everybody hates Squidward and for good reason, but SpongeBob is the one that's like, what kind of monsters are we? And he just comes out of nowhere to just make Squidward's day.
That's his eager face.
And I think that that is just like so sweet and speaks to how pure and awesome and kind and funny SpongeBob is, and why it works so well, why it rises above every other cartoon and show, in my humble opinion, in the universe. So those are my top 10 SpongeBob episodes. I'm curious, what are your top 10? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think that I'm stupid? It's okay. You can be honest. It's fine. But hopefully you enjoyed this tiny little expose into SpongeBob SquarePants. I got a couple more videos planned for before the year is done. Hopefully I actually get to them. You've all been very good, well-behaved boys and girls. So tell you what, let's, in the style of the Pokemon rap, actually, no, I can't do that. Sorry. I shouldn't have promised that. In the style of reading a list really quickly, I will give you now my ranking of every SpongeBob SquarePants episode. Party Pooper Pants, Pranks a Lot, Born Again Krab, SpongeBob Meets the Strangler, Sandy's Rocket, Employee of the Month, The Chaperone, Karate Choppers, Krusty Love, Clams, I Had an Accident, Plankton's Army, The Sponge Who Could Fly, I'm Your Biggest Fanatic, Club SpongeBob, Pressure, Neptune Spatula, I Was a Teenage Gary, Ugh, Krabby Land, Rockabye Bye Valve, Squeaky Boots, Muscle Bob Buff Pants, Pickles, Bossy Boots, Dumped, Wheels in April, Grandma's Kisses, Bubble Buddy, Reef Blower, The Paper, Boating School, Sponge Guard on Duty, The Great Snail Race, Missing Identity, New Student Starfish, Hooky, Home Sweet Pineapple, Arg, Plankton, Jellyfishing, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 2, Squid's Day Off, Nature Pants, Squirrel Jokes, My Pretty Seahorse, The Smoking Peanut, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 4, Squidward the Unfriendly Ghost, Jellyfish Jam, Suds, Valentine's Day, Sleepy Time, Hall Monitor, Wormy, Midlife Crustacean, I Was Stupid, Doing Time, The Fry Cook Games, Opposite Day, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, Can You Spare a Dime, Big Pink Loser, The Camping Episode, Graveyard Shift, Culture Shock, Ripped Pants, Gary Takes a Bath, Tea at the Tree, Life of Crime, Snowball Effect, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 5, No Free Rides, Scaredy Pants, Something Smells, Pre-Hibernation Week, Crab Board, Your Shoes Untied, Sandy, SpongeBob, and the Worm, The Bully, No Weenies Allowed, The Secret Box, Wet Painters, Naughty Nautical Neighbors, Revival of the Idiots, Just One Bite, Jellyfish Hunter, Nasty Patty, Imitation Crabs, As Seen on TV, Texas, Bubble Stand, Procrastination, Squilly Returns, Artist Unknown, Welcome to the Chum Bucket, Idiot Box, Squid on Strike, Rankin-Doodle, Fun, Walking Small, Dying for Pipe, Patty Hype, Rock Bottom, The Algae's Always Greener, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 3, Squidville, One Crab's Trash, Shanghaied, Sailor Mouth, Chocolate with Nuts, Help Wanted, Krusty Krab Training Video, SB129, Pizza Delivery, Christmas Soup, and Geeks! Where would I put the movie? Probably after Rock Bottom, before Patty Hype. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Please comment what your top 10 SpongeBob episodes are. I hope that you enjoyed this journey to Bikini Bottom. I don't know, you probably couldn't tell, but this is actually a green screen. So, thank you, and goodbye.